Hello, this is Professor Espinosa, and in this lecture for iTech 455 and iTech 630, I'm going to be showing you how to do quick, simple business process models using iRise Studio ideation scenario. It's probably not the best tool for doing business process models, but given that we're going to be doing visual simulations later on, I wanted to show you this because it's a nice quick tool, and it's actually the very first step you're going to take when you start doing visual simulations. So let me get started. I have first you have to run iRise Studio, and I have iRise Studio on the screen right now. So we're going to start a new project. So you select File, New, Project Blank. Okay, and in this particular case, you can give it a name. Give it any name you want for the project. Since I have already started a file, I'm not going to create a new one, but in my case, I'm going to open an existing one, which is the class exercise iRise ideation scenario. Okay. So I have started this project, but it's totally blank, so we're going to start from scratch. When you start a new project in iRise, it gives you a blank project with nothing on it except for one screen. And we're not going to use this screen, but I'm just going to leave it there. Actually, I'm just going to delete it. I'm just going to highlight it and delete it. We're not going to need this. We're going to be creating new ones. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select New Scenario. And it creates a little scenario icon right here. And I can right click and rename it. And I'm going to call this ATM withdrawal, because we're going to model an ATM withdrawal process. It's a very simple process. So when I click here, iRise ideation scenarios begin with a start symbol. So we have a start symbol right here, and we're ready to go. So the actual scenario that you're going to build is already drawn in the class exercise that I have posted on Blackboard. All we're going to do here is reproduce that same diagram. So we start by looking at the widgets that we have in iRise, and depending on whether you're composing a page or an ideation scenario or anything else, the appropriate widgets for that particular design will show up here at the top of the page. In this particular case, we have only 5 widgets available for ideation scenarios. This one will be a page. This one will be a decision symbol. We're going to use pages as process steps, decision symbols. Then you have a cloud. A cloud is usually when you connect to an outside process or when you're connecting to the internet for something. We're not going to do that in this exercise, but later on we might. So if you have a step that when you click on a link, you go to an external site, and it's not your internal process, but it's something external, you may want to link on this. And if you want to connect to another ideation scenario, so if you want to go from one process to another process, then you can use this symbol. And this is the start symbol. You know, we always start with a start symbol. So I'm going to draw one page in here, and it comes, it gets positioned automatically. I'm going to name this swipe card. This is to swipe your ATM card, okay? And after swiping the card, I'm going to draw another page here, and I'm going to call this page prompt for passcode. Okay? And after that, I'm going to put a decision in here to see if the password is incorrect. And a question mark. Okay? If the password is not correct, I'm going to send an error message And if the password is correct, I'm going to display the main menu. And the way you draw your flows here is very simple. You just drag from one to the next, and after you swipe the card, you prompt the password. And after this, you have to evaluate if the password is correct. If the password is incorrect, you send an error message. And in this case, we want to send, go from here, go back to prompt for the passcode again. So if the password is incorrect, you get an error message and you go back to the passcode screen. And if the password is correct, we go to the main menu. Now, iRise Studio Ideation Scenario doesn't have a way to label the error flows like we do in Microsoft Visio. So by convention, what I normally do, and this was recommended by iRise trainers, is just to use some color coding. So every time there's a negative outcome to a decision, like in this case, an error, the passcode is incorrect, I select the symbol and I just paint it red. And that tells me visually that this is the negative outcome, and then I paint the positive outcome green. So it's very easy to just look at the screen and see what are the positive and what are the negative outcomes. If the main menu is displayed, this is where the user would select ATM withdrawal, and then we'll put another page in here to allow the user to enter the amount. Okay, enter the amount, and then we need to see if there's if the customer has sufficient balance in the account. Okay, if there is no sufficient balance, we're going to notify the user. And if there is sufficient balance, we're going to go and check to see if there's enough cash in the ATM. If there's enough cash on the ATM, we will dispense cash. Okay, and if there's not enough balance, what we'll do is we'll have we're going to notify user and bank manager. If the ATM doesn't have enough cash, we need to notify the bank manager. So from the main menu, we enter the amount. After we enter the amount, we check if there is sufficient balance. If the balance is not sufficient, we go here and we color code this red. If there is sufficient balance, we go over here and we color code this green. Okay, and if there is not enough cash in the ATM machine, we go and notify the user and the bank manager and we color code this red. And if there is enough cash, then we dispense the cash and we color code is green. Okay. After we notify the user, we had to go back to the main swiping menu, the prompt to swipe the card again, and here we're going to color code this red too because it's a negative outcome. And we're also going to go back to the swiping card. Okay. So after we dispense cash, we can ask the customer if the customer wants a receipt. Okay. If the customer wants a receipt, then we have a screen to print the receipt. Okay. If no, then we go directly here. Well, after dispensing cash, we go here. And since this is no, I'm going to color code it red. And since this is yes, I'm going to color code it green. And after this, I'm going to go back again to the swipe card prompt in the ATM, and we're finished. We're done. This is that simple. It only took 10 minutes to build this. Now, one of the nice things about iRise Studio is that you don't need to save anything. Everything gets automatically saved as you go. Okay, that has a number of implications. First, certain mistakes will be somewhat permanent, or you will have to go and change them manually. The other more important thing is that if you're working on in your own computer, all your work will be saved as you go. So you don't have to worry about saving. But if you're working in the FSIT lab, the work you're doing will be saved locally in that computer in the FSIT lab. But those machines have been set up so that as soon as you log out, the machine gets reset. So if you don't have other ways of saving your work, and you're working in the lab, your work will be gone. So you have to be really, really careful. So what you need to do, and I'm not going to do it now, but I'm just going to show you. If you because the work gets saved automatically, you don't have to worry about giving it a file name or anything. But if you're working in the lab and you want to save it and take it with you home, or if you want to save this file and give it to a colleague or a client or anybody else, what you need to do is you need to go to File, okay, and not save it, but export it to iDoc. When you export to iDoc, it gives you a file menu to save the file, and you give it a file name, and it will give it an extension iDoc. iDoc is almost like the PDF equivalent of an iRise simulation. That file is not usable as it is, but it's an image of the project file. So once you give that file to somebody, and that person wants to open the simulation, all they have to do is click on File and Import from an iDoc. Okay? And then they can open the file. Or they can select New, Project from iDoc, and that will convert the iDoc file into a project, and then you can continue working. This is a great way to share files with your teammates, with your clients, with your managers, with your professors, etc. So one more thing I wanted to say is that this is about building ideation scenarios, but as I was saying before, in a few weeks we're going to be doing the iRise Studio training, and we're going to start simulating an application and building a demo. Well, each one of these, what iRise calls assets, is essentially a page, and this is actually a decision. So if I double click on this, I get into a decision modeling page where I will be able to model those decisions for the simulation. I'm not going to do that now, we're going to do that later. And if I open, for example, the swipe card, I get a blank page where I can model the swipe card operation. So I can, for example, double click here and say, please swipe your card. And naturally, if you're in an ATM machine, there will be a slot to swipe this. And this actually becomes a page. And we're going to be modeling different components to this page. But just to show you how this works out, all your assets are listed here in this pane here. The asset attributes are described here, all the properties. And I can go here and very quickly open any page I want and go back and design that. I can go to the swipe card, and what I type here will be there. Now, when we're not gonna be able to show much on simulation in this particular exercise, we're gonna do that later. But just to give you a flavor of how this is gonna work out, let's say, for example, that we want to put well, first of all, you will notice that now in the page we have a lot more widgets. This will be all the page widget design elements to build your simulations. if I go into the ideation scenario, there's only 5 widgets. But if I go into the swipe card, there's more widgets. So for example, this one here allows me to put a text box in here. I can align it here. Okay. And, or for example, I can go into the ATM withdrawal and prompt for passcode. I can open this page. I can just double click in here and type, please enter your passcode. Okay, and again, we're not gonna see the functionality of this, but just to give you an idea how this works, I'm gonna put an input box in here for you to enter the password, and I'm gonna take a button and I'm gonna put it right here, and I'm gonna click to submit, or just simply submit, and we have a button. Okay. So now when I simulate this, I hit play and it'll open in the browser, and it looks just like an application. Later on, we're going to see how to put backgrounds and format this as a real application, and how to pass data from one page to the other one so we can very quickly build an application scenario. For now, this is all we're going to do. We'll come back to iRise Studio in about 2 or 3 weeks. Thank you.